Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Network Sunday, April 29th, 2018. Rich DeMuro's filling in for me from KTLA. He's good, isn't he? Yeah, you're going to like this show. This is episode 1484. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Wink, the best way to discover new wines you'll love. Go to trywink.com/techguy and get $20 off your first shipment.
Hey, welcome to The Tech Guy with Leo Laporte. Rich DeMuro in for Leo today, who is on vacation. Thanks so much for joining me. We are going to talk about technology, all the gadgets you have, all the fun stuff you're playing with, websites, electronics, anything you have in your life that has a battery or needs an app to operate, or maybe the app itself, we can talk about in the show live. We're taking your calls, 1-8888-ASK-LEO, 1-8888-ASK-LEO, or 888-827-5536. Leo is on vacation, so in his place is yours truly, Rich DeMuro. I'm the tech reporter for KTLA 5 News in Los Angeles. My Tech Smart segment is also syndicated on a bunch of TV stations nationwide, so you might see me pop up in Cleveland or maybe New Orleans or New York or Chicago or some of these other places that my report airs. So lots of fun there, lots of questions. I get so many questions every day from you guys, and this is a fun place for me to answer them. So if you have a question, give me a call, and we will get it answered. Leo, like I said, is on vacation, so we'll just have fun in his place. I'm in his beautiful studio here, and believe me, he gets a lot done from one seat. Let me tell you, I'm going to try to replicate as much of that as I can. Do you guys like change? You know, I'm talking about like when you get used to something, do you like when it changes? Well, that's exactly what's happening to Gmail. This was the big news this week that Google is giving Gmail a revamp. And I remember when Gmail first launched, it was April 1st, 2004. And the reason I remember that, I didn't remember the exact year, but I remember the exact date. I was working as a reporter in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I remember being so excited for this new email product, new web email. And why was I so excited? Because at the time, your best bet for webmail was AOL, Hotmail, or Yahoo. All of them offered a measly amount of storage. I think maybe Yahoo offered the most. I know Hotmail had about 2 to 5 megabytes, not gigabytes, megabytes. And there was a time when you got your email and you actually had to clear out your inbox because there was just too much in there. And Gmail comes along from Google, this small little company that was sort of taking over search on the web. And next thing you know, they're like, we're giving you a gig just to start and counting. And they changed the entire way you looked at your email because you never had to delete anything. You would archive something. In fact, finding a delete button at that time was nearly impossible. You just pressed archive, which I hated, by the way, because when I got a newsletter or something I did not need anymore after I was done reading it, I wanted it deleted. So you could delete, but it was not that easy. Anyway, fast forward a decade, 14 years now, Gmail's used by over 1 billion people worldwide, probably one of the most popular products for Google. And now they're changing it up. They are giving it a revamp with a bunch of new features. So let me go through some of these new features that are available now. I've already switched over. You don't have to, but as a tech nerd, of course, I want these things immediately, whether I like them or not. And there's some things I like, some things I don't. The biggest, basically, if you've used what's called Inbox by Gmail, that's kind of what they used as a model. I think they took some of the best features from that. I personally did not like Inbox, did not work for my workflow, but a lot of people do. And I think they used some of those features to kind of come up with the new Gmail. Number one, when you're looking at your inbox now, if anyone has sent you a file or a picture, it's going to be right underneath the message. So you don't have to actually click inside the message to see it. This is very handy because sometimes if you exchange something back and forth with someone for maybe, 10 messages and you said, hey, what's that file? Can you send that to me? And then when you go to look for that file or that picture or whatever, you have to go back and look through all the messages and all the attachments to find it. Now it's just front and center right on your home screen, which is really nice. Arguably, the biggest change is now the snooze button. So if you don't want to respond to an email right away, you can now hit this snooze button on the email. And your options for snoozing are later today, tomorrow, next week, next weekend, or someday. Or, of course, you can pick a date and time. Now, you might think, oh, that's a procrastinator's dream to have a snooze button. Well, it can be actually very useful. So, for instance, for me, the way I do most of my email is kind of a triage. So I go through my inbox, and I like inbox 0. So I go through and I kind of triage the emails. The ones I need to reply to, I reply to. The ones that can wait, I kind of leave in there and they linger. With this snooze, I can now snooze things until the next day because mostly I check my email in the morning, the most when I'm replying, but in the afternoons it's kind of like just on a emergency basis. Not emergency, but if it's a real, if it's an email that needs to be replied to, I'll reply. So now I love the snooze. And as I say this, Monday morning is coming up tomorrow. There will be a lot of emails reappearing in my inbox at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. Nudge to reply is another new feature, which is really neat. So this will look at your emails and kind of wonder what happened to you. So for me, a lot of times I'll talk back and forth with someone and then I'll ghost them, basically. Not intentionally, but I just kind of forget. And so now Gmail will realize that and say, hey, you were talking to this person and you kind of just left them hanging. Why don't you reply to that email that you stopped replying to 5 days ago? And that's another one, nudge to reply. Another favorite of mine that is on mobile right now that is coming to the desktop is smart replies. And this is kind of mixed. I think sometimes it works brilliantly, sometimes it doesn't. But Gmail sort of looks at your messages. A machine will read the contents of them. Yes, a machine is reading your emails. And artificial intelligence will suggest 3 simple replies. So let's say someone says, hey, can you do lunch Friday at noon? Now, normally you'd have to think about that, look at your calendar, come back, write stuff. Well, the smart replies will say, sure, that sounds great, or something to that effect. I can't do noon. How about 1 p.m.? Okay. Or no, I can't do that. Now, I'm just making those up. I don't know what it would actually come up with, but those are the types of responses. And a lot of times you'll just get responses like, sure, that sounds great, or awesome, or sounds great, can't wait to see you then. Just super simple things with one tap you can send back to someone. Now, these aren't life-changing, but it saves you a bunch of keystrokes, especially on your mobile device. Now, when you have this on desktop, it works kind of well too. So right now, I just got an email from someone, and the 3 replies are, yes, I'm still interested. Yes, I am. Sorry, I'm not. And I love these, but I feel bad using them because I'm basically letting a robot reply to my friends and colleagues when they email me. And I feel sort of bad doing that, but it is highly efficient, and I'm a huge fan of that. But I also think it's kind of weird that a robot is taking over my personality, because some of the things it comes up with, I wouldn't necessarily say it in that way, but it works. And so there's my reply. One thing I really like is, there's a couple more features, like confidential mode, which is if you have a sensitive message, you can set it to self-destruct. You could also make it so people can't forward, copy, or download or print the message. But keep in mind, someone could always take a snapshot of the screen or a screenshot. So that, to me, is giving people a false sense of security. I don't think that's going to be used as much. There's also easy unsubscribe, a new tasks app, and one thing that I've really wanted for a while, on my main Gmail screen now, I can see my tasks, my calendar, and also my notes all on one screen. And there is also a tasks app that's new for iOS and Android that you can download. You can get all these features right now. If you go into your Gmail, press the little settings button, and it says try the new Gmail. And if you don't like it, you can go back. But there will be a point, according to Google, where you will have to take these new features in the new Gmail. I'm loving them, and I'm a person who did not like Inbox, and I'm okay with these changes. I will say the only thing I don't like so far, by the way, is the fact that the delete button shifts around whether you have an email open or an email closed. All right, your call is coming up soon, 1-888-827-5536 if you have a question for me. I'm Rich DeMuro, in today for the vacationing Leo Laporte. You're listening to The Tech Guy. Your calls at 8888 Ask Leo after this. Welcome back to The Tech Guy. I'm Rich DeMuro, in for Leo Laporte today, who's on vacation. Thanks so much for joining me to talk about technology, all the cool gadgets out there, the apps, the services, the websites, whatever you got. Maybe it's bugging you. Maybe you have a question. Maybe you want some help. Maybe you need a recommendation. Are you trying to decide between two things? This is what I do for a living. I check this stuff out. I test it out. I try it out. I'm the tech reporter for KTLA, Channel 5 in Los Angeles. My website, richontech.tv, if you want to learn more about the guy behind the mic today, in for Leo. Let's go to Kim Schaffer. Kim is our call screener extraordinaire, and you're handling everything today with the calls. How's that going so far?
So far, so good. We've got some good ones on here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think we should start with today?
I think Christine in Long Beach, she loves her Gmail. Not Gmail, Google Calendar. But when she gets an invite, it's defaulting to her iPhone Apple Calendar, and she wants to know if she can change that somehow.
Okay. Christine in Long Beach.
Line 3.
Okay, let's go to Christine in Long Beach, line 3. Christine, you're on with Rich.
Oh, no. She got dropped.
Oh, she got dropped. Did I drop her?
I think so.
Oh, well, this is what happens when you got a new guy in here, Leo knows all these things. All right, so who do you think is the second best? Let's, Christine, call me back.
How are your chops on iPads?
Let's go. Let's check out
line
iPads. Okay, line 1. Oh, yeah, I pressed line 1 and then I dropped him. Okay, we got you here. Line 1, Kevin in Tampa, Florida. What's up?
How you doing, Rich?
You're on with Rich, and you did not meet the fate that Christina met, so that's a good thing.
I sure hope not. Obviously, you can't know for sure, but do you think the new iPad Pro models will come out June 4th at WWDC or not until September with the iPhone model? Like, should I wait and get it or get it now?
Should you wait and get it now? So the new iPad Pros, let's see. So there's a website that I like. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Let's see. So you go to these websites, and you go to this website, and it will tell you basically when the last time something came out, right? So let's see. It's
I know what you're talking.
Mac Rumors Buying Guide, I believe it's called. And so here's the thing about Apple products. Basically, they kind of go through a cycle, right? So when Apple comes out with a product, I always kind of joke that you have to get it the first day that product comes out, right? Because these things have a life cycle of a year before the next model comes out in general. Now you're asking about, and the website, by the way, is buyersguide.macrumors.com. And so when you look at this, it kind of gives you all the Mac products, all the Apple products, and when they came out and how long it's been since they last came out. So I'm looking at iPhone 8, which they give it a neutral. iPhone SE, they're giving it a don't buy. And the reason they're giving it a don't buy is because it's been 404 days since Apple refreshed that. And the average for the iPhone SE is 181 days. So you see what they're getting at there? So they're using kind of the history of how often these products are updated to decide when you should buy this. So you're asking about the iPad Pros, okay? So there's two models. There's a 10.5, which I'm getting a big yellow caution, approaching end of cycle. It's been 328 days since they released it, which means the average is 439, which again is about a year. So the reality is they did introduce this at WWDC, June 5th, 2017. And the next one, WWDC, which is the Worldwide Developers Conference, which is an Apple event, coming up soon. So they will probably maybe announce an update to this. Now, WWDC is not necessarily hardware driven, but sometimes Apple will drop a few updates during that show, which is primarily for all the guys that develop apps on the iPhone. So that's the 10.5. Now, if you're talking about the 12.9, they're given a neutral for that. And that's kind of the most expensive iPad available. That's the iPad Pro 12.9, 328 days. And the average on that one is 572. Now, it's interesting that that one has a little longer of a life cycle, probably because that's the highest powered device that they have with iPad. And so they're going like every other year with that one. So I'd say that iPad, if you're going for the 10.5, I would wait. If you're going for the 12.9, you can probably purchase that. But again, the website that I like, buyersguide.macrumors.com, is a really easy way because, like I said, with Apple products, it's kind of this ticking time bomb, so to say. When something comes out new, like the new iPhone, you know it's 364 days until the next one comes out. And I know some people are on a every other year cycle with their products, but if you want the maximum bang for your buck, you kind of want to get those products when they come out. So that's my advice, Kevin. Kevin in Tampa, thanks so much for calling. I appreciate that. But good question. Because you don't want to buy an Apple product and then 2 weeks later a new one comes out. That's just not very fun. All right. Let's go to let's see here. Sheldon in Sherman Oaks. Sheldon in Sherman Oaks, you're on with Rich.
Hey, Rich. I got a question. I'm trying to build a home security system using SmartThings and Arlo cameras. And my wife likes these kind of keypad things like maybe SimpliSafe has. So I got two questions. One, is there a way to tie in a keypad of any sort? And is there a way or a method that if the Wi-Fi went down, somehow LTE could take over? I'm on Verizon, but I was hoping not to have to pay that exorbitant fee that Verizon charges for the LTE on data for, if you're doing a hotspot or something like that. So I'm wondering if you might be able to shed some light on that.
What system are you trying to go with? You have Arlo. You want Arlo security cameras, which are nice. People like those. They're from Netgear. People like them because you only have to charge them, every couple of months.
Right. And then I just bought SmartThings with sensors and that sort of thing. Okay.
So you've got the SmartThings, and you're trying to figure out if you can add a keypad?
Yeah, is there any kind of a tie-in with a keypad? I do have an old Samsung phone that I suppose I could dedicate. But, my wife just the other day said, oh, well, I really love this SimpliSafe keypad, which I'm going to actually probably be sending back because it has, it's easy to see the numbers and I can push on it and yada, yada, yada.
Okay. So, you know what? can you hang on through the break?
Sure.
Okay, hang on through the break. I'll look up some stuff and we'll come right back because we've got a commercial coming up here. But 8888 Ask Leo if you want to hop on. We'll talk about home security coming up next.
Me?
Are you still there, Sheldon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
I'm trying to figure out. So you're looking. So SmartThings comes from ADT. We're not on the air right now. I'm just trying to get some more background here.
I think SmartThings comes from Samsung.
So, but they work with. But it works. Yeah. Samsung bought the SmartThings, right? So they bought that platform, and so you're trying to figure out the stuff that works with it. I know that SimpliSafe does not work with it.
No, that I know too.
Yeah, and
I'm trying to keep this relatively low cost.
Yeah,
I'm going to pay the monthly fee and all.
I'm looking at any sort of keypad. You're talking to arm and disarm your house, right? Basically.
Yeah, essentially arm and disarm and tie in. With a Zigbee or something like that with the rest of the system.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any kind of keypad. And the problem is if you go with like a Nest keypad, they probably don't work with SmartThings because it's Samsung, right?
Well, I think Nest might work with SmartThings, but I'm not fully positive.
Well, if I go to the SmartThings website, I'm seeing all these different, let's see. I'm wondering if you can, I'm just not seeing any sort of keypad on here at all, which is interesting. So that means you have to go to the next thing, which might be a system that works with SmartThings that has a keypad, but I'm not even seeing that, like in Amazon.
Yeah, I looked on SmartThings too, and I couldn't find anything either that made sense.
It seems odd that they wouldn't have a way to arm it. So you're saying you can only arm your alarm with your phone right now.
Exactly.
Which
and
is
my
kind
wife,
of a pain.
I mean, for me, it's
right.
For me, it's not so much of a problem, but for my wife, it's like...
No, I get it. I call that the wife test. And so that's, you want things to work for them. Let me, okay. All right, let me, we can address this. So now, do you have sensors on all your doors and everything?
Yeah, and the other thing I'm thinking is, I'm still in the period where I can send all this stuff back. Do you think that Simply Safe tying in with the Arlo is a good way to go?
I would say so. I mean, that's what I have. I love it.
Okay.
It's fantastic. I don't have the Arlo, but I've got the Simply Safe, and it's great. Let me. We'll talk on the radio, okay? So hang on. We've got about 2 minutes.
Thanks.
All right. Let's see. Rich, Scooter X posted a good link. Smart Things product, ADT, Security Hub. Yeah, the problem is with ADT, you've got to get... You don't want to go the ADT route because that's going to be super expensive. And, if you go with ADT, you're talking about now you got to pay for ADT. Yeah, I mean, you're talking $399. So that's the best way you can do it. But you probably, I don't think he said he wants to keep this cheap, and that's definitely not cheap. And then you got to pay a monthly fee. So $34.99. So we'll talk about this when we come back. Welcome back to The Tech Guy with Leo Laporte. Rich DeMuro sitting in for Leo today. On the line is Sheldon in Sherman Oaks. He bought a Smart Things hub, and he wants to know if he can get it to work with some sort of keypad, because right now he has to arm and disarm his house with his phone. Is that right, Sheldon?
Yeah, that's correct. And my wife is not thrilled with that idea.
Your wife is not thrilled. And so let me explain. This is what I call in technology the wife test, or the spouse test, or the significant other test, okay? Because if you're like me, you're a nerd, and I will go to extreme lengths to set up anything, right? I will do a macro. I will do a shortcut. I will have, where you press one button when you come home and the lights go on and this does that, and you got to, whatever you need to do, I will do it, right? When the wife comes home, she wants everything to work without figuring out how to make it work, right?
Exactly.
And that's what you're dealing with. So you've got this system, and I'm kind of looking at the Smart Things website, and it's kind of crazy because Smart Things is a platform that was purchased by Samsung, and basically it lets you connect a whole bunch of different devices, smart home devices, right, to this system, some of them being smart home security devices. So you've got Arlo cameras, you've got some sensors for your windows and doors, but you want to be able to arm those without using your phone and using a keypad, which makes sense. You come home and you turn off the alarm when you come into the house with a keypad versus going onto your phone. We have Simply Safe, and our keypad was down for a week, and it actually was a real big pain to turn on and off the alarm when we entered and exit from our phone the entire time. Sometimes it's fine. Like when I leave the house, I'll often arm it from my phone, which is fine when I get in my car. But coming home and having to turn it off is kind of weird. So what I'm seeing on the Smart Things website is not many options. I see an ADT option, but the problem with the ADT option is you have to add an ADT home security starter kit, which is $399, and then you got to get monitoring from ADT, which is at least $15 a month. So you probably don't want to go that route, Sheldon, because you mentioned that you want to keep this cheap. So I think, are you willing to send this stuff back?
Sure.
Because you mentioned that you might want to go with Simply Safe instead. I personally think Simply Safe is going to be a simpler solution at this point, and you can still use it with the Arlo cameras that you have. So,
oh, is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to integrate into the app. They have their own cameras, but you can still, kind of have it working in sync there.
The only downside with Simply Safe was that if you don't use the monthly, which I may intermittently use and not use, you can't look at the camera in the house. You can't use the app on the phone.
Yes.
In the event that you are out somewhere, you forgot to turn on the system.
Yes,
so I would have kept it otherwise. It didn't have that limitation.
It's $15 a month if you want just the arm and disarm from the keypad or a remote. And then if you want to pay $25 a month, then you can have the option to arm and disarm from your phone and also monitor it. But here's the thing. When you're talking about home security, you can hack some of this stuff together, but the reality is if you want a solid system that is monitored, that you do have a good response, it's going to cost you some money. And I think that Simply Safe is probably one of the cheaper solutions out there. And I think it's one of the better solutions. I think you're going to have a headache if you try to hack all this stuff together. I think if you just want something that tells you when a door is opened or a window is opened when you're not home and you get an alert to your phone, I think the smart things will work. But otherwise, I think you're going to be better going with kind of a full service system. And Simply Safe at $25 a month is way cheaper than some of the other ones out there that charge you way more. And they want to charge monitoring fees and they want a contract. And so I think that's going to be a little bit better. And don't forget, Sheldon, I'm telling you all this stuff with the market kind of still evolving in this area. ADT owned the marketplace for so long. Just now are we seeing these alternatives, especially these DIY alternatives, come into the marketplace. So good question. I know a lot of people, home security is top of mind. All right, now let's get back to Christine in Long Beach. Christine, you called back.
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry for hanging up on you, but Leo is like a wizard back here. He's like the Wizard of Oz. He's got all these things going on that he knows how to do, and I press one button and I, mess up the whole system.
Yeah, not very techie today.
No. Wait, hold on. That's not good. Okay, so what's your question?
I'm just kidding. Okay, so I love the Google Calendar. Are you familiar with the Google Calendar?
I live and die by my Google Calendar.
Yeah, me too. I love it. So I have a few different email addresses, and I'm using the default email program on my iPhone. And even if I revert over to my Gmail app, whenever I accept an appointment, it defaults to the iPhone calendar, which I can't stand. I can't stand that calendar, and I want to get it off my phone. And even if I just delete that or remove that icon on my iPhone, if I accept an appointment from someone, it goes to that Apple calendar, iPhone calendar. It won't. I can't get it to automatically go to the Google Calendar unless I just do it manually.
Well, you've got two things kind of going on here. And the first is you're kind of realizing some of the limitations of iPhone and their sandboxed architecture of iOS. And so with iOS, pretty much everything happens inside an app. And there is no way to set a default app. So if you're on an Android phone, I'd give you a pretty quick answer. And that is, clear your defaults. And when next time you click an invite, it's going to automatically ask, hey, how do you want to handle this? What do you want to do? And done. On iPhone, it just doesn't work that way. Now, apps have gotten pretty good about figuring out deep links and getting around this, especially Google if you're in their ecosystem. But what I think is happening here is that your default calendar has not been set properly on iPhone. And what this requires is going into the calendar under settings on your iPhone. And I see this happen a lot because anytime you use Siri or whatever, even if you've installed a Google Calendar feed, it's defaulting to put your events in an iPhone calendar, which is fine when you're looking at everything on the calendar app built into iPhone. But as soon as you switch over to that Google Calendar app on your phone or maybe on your desktop, you're not seeing all those things that you added through your iPhone. And this confuses a lot of people because it's sort of in your calendar on the iPhone, but it's not when you go anywhere else. So what you need to do is go into Calendar under Settings and look for something called Default Calendar. And as I look at mine right now, I've got my tech segment calendar, which is shared from my station. I've got my Gmail calendar. I've got my family calendar. I've got iCloud calendars from home, work, and family. So you want to go in and choose the default Gmail calendar that fits best for what you're talking about. And I think that's going to fix your invites. Personally, if I took this a step further, I hate when people send me invites because I don't like having anything on my calendar that I did not put on there. And when I see people put these invites on there, they're not in the format that I would write things on my calendar. And so it really annoys me. And I actually delete a lot of these little invites I get through my calendar. But Christine, I think that's going to really help you out. I think that's the solution. But again, this is sort of the idea of iOS versus Android. And when it comes to choice in how things are handled on the iPhone, especially when you click links. And a lot of times you'll notice that links on the iPhone open up in themselves. It opens up in that app. Unless it's been properly coded and it kind of deep links to a different app, that's what's going on. So great question. If you have a question, you can call in. The phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO, 8888-ASK-LEO. Did you know that Amazon, by the way, is building a robot? This is great. This is a robot codenamed Vesta, report out of Bloomberg says that Amazon has a top secret plan to build a domestic robot. Now, before you think that this thing is going to be like Rosie from the Jetsons, not so much. It sounds like it's an Echo on wheels. So it can follow you around the house, answer questions, play music, whatever you need from an Echo that would kind of follow you around. Now, I think my kids are going to love this. 2019, next year, is when consumers might get their hands on this. But I will tell you, robots in the home have not taken off. But when Amazon sells this thing for a price that's right, I can't wait. I'm Rich DeMuro in for Leo. You're listening to The Tech Guy. More of your calls after this. Welcome back to The Tech Guy with Leo Laporte. Rich DeMuro here with you, sitting in for Leo, talking about technology, your gadgets, taking your calls, telling you about what happened this week in tech, which was a lot, by the way. I know Facebook kind of absorbed all the tech news for the past 3 weeks, but finally this week we broke through and had some new stuff happen. So we'll talk about some of that as well in today's show. On with you until another couple hours here. So if you have a question, give me a call. 1-888-827-5536, or if you prefer, 8888-ASK-LEO. Free call from anywhere in the U.S. Can't wait to talk to you. Let's go to the lines now. We've got, let's see here, Frank.
Yes.
From Los Angeles. What's up, Frank? My hometown. No, not home. Oh my gosh, why did I just say that? I can't believe I said hometown. I've lived there for many years, but it's not my hometown.
Oh, did you? Well, I love you. I watch you on KTLA.
Thank you.
And, of course, I listen to this show all the time.
Oh, it's like your two favorites converged.
Yes, I had an interesting situation, not to my liking. I have an old PC, an HP, and so I had logged on. And the first thing I find out is, first of all, I'm with Firefox.
Okay. Firefox
at the bottom says, everything is very slow, click here.
Ooh.
Click here, and my gosh, I lost everything, essentially. And then I was able to go back to restore a few days ago, but it lost all of my bookmarks and things like that. Is there any quick way I can get back to it? And I don't understand why Firefox would not let me in anymore.
Well, I think here's what happened on Firefox. I think you have some malware on your computer, or you did have some malware on your computer. And that's what served up that message that said, click here. Because what was the message again?
It said, starting up on Firefox is very slow. Click here. Now, I'm pretty smart, but I'm not smart enough for this, I guess.
Well, these guys that are doing these things, they're trying to get everyone, whether you're smart or not. And I've seen some of these messages where I'm sitting there like, wait, what? Hold on. Should I put my password in here or not? And generally, if something's popping up, you have to think from Firefox standpoint.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd for them to put a message like that. So now it could be innocent. Maybe it is a message where Firefox noticed that it was taking a long time to start up, and it said it did some sort of housekeeping functionality in the background that messed up everything. So
what it said, though, one second. What it said was it's going slowly, but we can fix that, and here's how we're going to fix it. And then when everything came up, it came up in a new way. I was able to go for Google and everything else, except it says cannot connect.
Cannot connect. And have you gotten that since fixed now with the restore?
Well, I've got it back, but I've lost a lot.
You lost all your bookmarks and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so I would recommend that you probably want to have Firefox Sync turned on this time. And Google sort of turns this on in Chrome it kind of prompts you to turn this on pretty easily. And since most people have a Google login, it's kind of seamless. On Firefox, it's a little different because you actually have to sign in for it. So go to Firefox Sync and turn that feature on. You're going to have to sign up with a password. But next time, if this ever happens again, you will be able to see your bookmarks, tabs, and all your passwords with one sign-in. And that will keep this from, let's say you build up your bookmarks once again, you'll be able to see them again. Now, here's the thing. Back in the day, I used to sort of export my bookmarks every once in a while just to have them. I don't really do that anymore because of the whole I find stuff pretty easily just by searching. Sometimes I forget, but I find it pretty quickly these days with Google.
Well,
But
I have it. I have them. I have an iPad, luckily, and I have the bookmarks on there. I don't know if I can transfer those.
yeah, I would. Okay, so if you put Safari on your computer,
Yes.
and then you can import, sync up your bookmarks that way, export them from there, or just have Firefox import them. That should work for sure.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, thank you. I enjoy your show, and hey, you're having a good time.
I try, if you're not having a good time.
Thank you very much for the information. It's a pleasure.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
thank you, Frank. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Frank in Los Angeles, thanks so much for calling. Appreciate that one. Frank said I'm having a good time. Look, if you're not having a good time sitting here answering fun tech questions, now I get it. It's a little nerve-wracking, and you're wondering, am I giving the right answer? Am I giving this guy the right advice? But this is the thing about tech people in general, and I always tell people this. They're like, well, you're the tech guy. You should know exactly how to do that. Well, by the way, Leo's the tech guy. I am a tech guy. So they're like, you're a tech guy. You know how to do this. Don't you know off the top of your head how to do this? Not necessarily. What tech people do well is they know how to troubleshoot things. And so for me, if I'm thinking about bookmarks, I'm thinking, well, he's got a copy there, so that copy should be able to go over somewhere else. But this, again, just tells me why you have to back up everything, especially with your computer. If you've got anything on there, you have to have it in two places, because you have no idea how many people call me or email me or text me or somehow write on my Facebook page, Rich, I lost everything. Well, you had a backup, right? No. And it's just one of those things that I know you don't want to set it up. I know it takes time. I know it takes energy. But believe me, you'll be much happier in life if you have a backup, because these guys that are doing these malware and all these phishing emails and stuff, they're getting more and more sophisticated, and they're getting smarter, and they're getting better at what they do. And so you want to make sure that you have the upper hand. And that's why I always recommend having some sort of backup, whether it's your photos, your most important stuff should be somewhere else. Now, bookmarks, I would argue, if you lost them, it's not the end of the world. So to me, I think that that's one of the lesser things. Like, okay, it's not all your wedding pictures or something, but you still want them backed up somewhere. And the new browsers do all back them up. Some of them you do have to have that feature turned on though. So let's go to Jeff in Lakewood. Jeff in Lakewood, you're on with Rich.
Hello there. How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I have a wireless printer. Works really good. It's connected to a wireless router, and on a regular basis, a few hours to 24 hours after not being idle, it goes offline, and I have to re-enter the router password.
Oh, that's not good. What kind of printer is this?
This is a Brother printer. It used to work fine until I changed service providers, and then it stopped doing that.
Service provider. So you mean your Wi-Fi passcode and network changed?
Well, I changed wireless routers because of the change in company. I gave it the old password because I know how to change that. And
now, is this the Brother printer? Because I have a Brother printer, and mine is wireless. It does not go offline, but what it does is when I don't use it for a while, my computer no longer finds it, and I have to actually go over to the printer, press a button on it to kind of wake it up, and then it finds it. That's not what you're talking about here, because you're saying you have to re-enter the password. Have you tried pressing a button on the printer to sort of wake it up before you redo the password thing?
Oh, yeah. I press this power button. The Wi-Fi indicates that it's available. And worse than that, I can actually go through the utility for the Brother printer, and it can actually get information from the Brother printer, but it won't print to it because it says it's offline.
And what kind of computer are you using with this?
Windows.
A Windows computer. Well, how old is this printer?
Maybe 2 years.
Okay, it's time for a new one. No, I'm just kidding. A little tech humor there. No, I think here's what I think is happening. I think that there's some sort of. When was the last time you kind of formatted this thing to get it back to factory and to kind of clear out all the old passwords you had logged in this thing? Because you said it worked at one point.
The printer?
Yeah.
Well, I've gone through the process of reinitializing it using the setup disk, and It said it would just fine, but it still didn't work.
Okay. I think you need to press, there's a little button, there should be a little push button on the actual printer itself. And on the printer itself, there's a little button that sort of, you might push in with a paper clip or something. Usually you can hold that in for a while and it will kind of factory restart the whole printer. And I've done this with mine because sometimes these things just get a little wonky. You got a couple passcodes in there. You got a couple of different, saved SSIDs, whatever, your Wi-Fi passwords and your network codes. And I think sometimes it just helps to clear those all out. So push that paperclip in there, leave it in there for, 10, 20 seconds, then reconnect it to your network. And I think that's going to help. Jeff from Lakewood, thanks a lot. Good question there. You want that printer to print. All right, coming up, I'm going to talk about the Fitbit Versa. I've been wearing this thing for a week. It's the first wearable to rival the Apple Watch. More of the Tech Guy coming up. Welcome back to the Tech Guy with Leo Laporte. But I'm not Leo. No, I'm Rich DeMuro, filling in for Leo, who's on vacation. TechGuyLabs.com is the website to go to if you want to learn more about anything you hear me talk about on the show, or Leo, of course. Taking your calls at 8888 Ask Leo, 1-888-827-5536. This is the second hour of the show where we talk about technology, answer your questions, get you figured out with whatever's happening in your tech world. And one of the things that I've been wearing for the past, it's been about 10 days or so now, is the brand new Fitbit Versa, which Fitbit describes as the smartwatch for all. And I will say, I bought this thing sight unseen. So a lot of times I get products in for my day job at KTLA TV in Los Angeles. I get products in to test. Those are not mine. This I just bought because I said, you know what? I want this thing. And I bought it off Amazon. I pre-ordered it. It shipped to me the day it was available, which I think was like April 18th or something. And I've been wearing it ever since. And before that, I was wearing the Apple Watch a lot and some other devices. But this one has really taken over for me. Let me tell you about it. You're familiar with Fitbit, right? They've had kind of a checkered past when it comes to smartwatches, but I think they nailed it with this one. They got a lot of stuff right. It's $200, number one, which is a very reasonable price. It's expensive for a fitness tracker that Fitbit normally makes, which can be, anywhere from $79 to, $120, something like that. So it's a little bit more expensive. It's on the higher side. But you get a really nice looking watch that, by the way, works with both iPhone and Android. So with this device, you do not have to pick sides. And I've used it with my Android phone. I've used it with my iPhone, and it works equally well. And it's very simple. It's got a beautiful design, a nice screen that the clarity and the color on the screen is excellent. So when you look at the screen, it's so vivid. It looks like an OLED screen, which is kind of like one of the better display types out there. I don't think it's that, but it looks really nice. And so I'm very impressed with that. The old Fitbits, especially the Fitbit Blaze that I had previously, you could see the pixels on the screen. It was not the clearest. It did the job. It was also not the brightest. This one is very bright. It looks like the Apple Watch screen. It's not as big, but it's nice. And what does it do? Okay, well, you've got your basics, which is like heart rate. So that's nice. It tracks your steps. It tracks your sleep, which I really like. And it even tracks, it even tracks oxygen levels, which I didn't know. So it says in the future, it can track important health indicators like sleep apnea, which is really interesting. It also gives you reminders to move. So for instance, when I'm sitting in this chair doing this show, it wants me to move 250 steps every hour. It will give me a little nudge to do that. It'll say, you're doing great. And Fitbit says this is going to get more personalized as you wear it more. So the more you wear it, the more it learns about you and kind of hints as to little things and little changes you can make throughout your day so that you are more physically fit. And don't think that if you put on one of these Fitbits, like the Fitbit Versa I'm talking about, that you are suddenly an athlete. That's not how it works. You still have to put in the effort. But what I love about this is having that data flow. And having that data is half the battle. there are days, I get it. You go to the gym and you're like, okay, I was healthy today. But there's a lot of days when you may just be, like when I was traveling one day, I was so surprised that my active minutes, which I love, I'll explain those in a moment, were on target just for traveling. I had my 6-year-old with me, so clearly I was holding him. I was traveling with him. We were running around, running after him. So, but you don't realize that sometimes these little daily things you're doing are all contributing to your health. You don't necessarily have to take a run or you have to go to the gym to get in your active minutes for the day. And when I talk about active minutes, to me, that's the most important guide I get from my Fitbit. I know everyone talks about steps. You want to do 10,000 steps in a day or whatever. But active minutes are when your heart is at a place, and I'm not a doctor, but where your heart is at a place where it's actually working kind of hard and you're getting some exercise out of that. You're getting some good value out of that. So for me, I go by my active minutes. I want 26 minutes of those a day. Sometimes I hit it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go way over. But I love that. The one thing the Versa does not have is GPS. And so GPS, you say, okay, well then wait a second. Isn't this thing worthless if I take a run or if I take a walk or if I do any sort of activity that involves moving? No. There are other sensors on here that take over. So if you have your phone with you, it's going to use the GPS on your phone to figure out how far you're running, how many steps you're taking, all that stuff. If you don't have your phone with you, it makes approximations and it kind of figures out your stride. It kind of figures out from the accelerometer inside. It just uses more guesstimates, but it's still pretty good and it's better than nothing. And me, I am a runner. I have done my same run with my Apple Watch that has GPS and then the Fitbit Versa, which does not have GPS. And the information I got from both is pretty much the same. I mean, yes, the Apple Watch is a little more accurate, but a lot of people I feel like are going to run with their phone anyway, so you're going to get that. The sleep is awesome. I love learning about my sleep because you can see how well you're sleeping. So it tells you, if you're getting your REM sleep, which is, I guess, your really good sleep, or your light sleep, or your dark, or your heavy sleep or deep sleep, I should say. And so that's a really nice feature because you can finally figure out, sometimes you feel like you're up all night. This will actually give you the data. So for instance, last night I was up for an hour and that's within the range. So it'll give you a benchmark saying for people your age, here's how much you should be getting. Okay, 15 to 20% should be up or, whatever. I'm just giving approximations or whatever. But the point is it tells you all that. And so it's really nice. When it comes to smartwatch functionality, it's not as full features as the Apple Watch, but they're getting a good start. I mean, you can put like your Starbucks card on here. I added Pandora, so I can save music to my Versa. That costs $5 a month for that, by the way. So, but every time I charge my Versa, it's refreshing a couple of stations that I can then listen to offline through Pandora, which is really cool. Put some Bluetooth headphones on, and you can listen to music right from your wrist, which is really nice. You can also do that with Deezer as well. You can load your own music to this thing because it does have onboard storage, but I don't like it because you got to connect it to your computer. And that's kind of a pain in this world we live in where everything is wireless. I was just assuming that I can go through the Fitbit app on my phone and just Bluetooth some songs to my device. Apparently I can't do that, which is kind of annoying. The other thing you can do is see your notifications. So I don't like this. I don't want this. I don't want notifications on my device. I don't need them. I've got my phone. I get my notifications there. So you can turn that on or off, but you can get your calls. It'll vibrate when you get a call, calendar notifications, text notifications. And this is kind of different based on whether you have an Android or an iPhone. You can also pay. If you pay an extra $30, you can get the version of the Fitbit that has basically a little chip in there that lets you pay, like kind of mobile payment. I don't need that. Again, I'm just going to use my phone for that functionality. But Fitbit's got all kinds of apps that they're working with: E-Trade, Flipboard, Hue, Starbucks, United Airlines, AccuWeather, Yelp, and they have a whole bunch of different watch faces too. I think this thing is awesome. I'm going to give the Fitbit Versa 2 thumbs up. $199. If you're looking for an alternative to the Apple Watch, I think we finally found it. Again, iPhone and Android. Very rare that something works with both of those devices in a nice, seamless way. So check it out. All right, more of your calls after this. 8888 Ask Leo. 8888 Ask Leo. You are listening to The Tech Guy. TechGuyLabs.com is the website. I'm Rich DeMuro, filling in for Leo Laporte today. More of your calls at 8888 Ask Leo coming up next.
You're out.
All right, folks in the chat room, what's going on? All right. Waiting for the NFC chip version to come to a local Best Buy. Yeah. So has anyone else tried the Versa yet? In the chat room? All right, let's see. What do we have here? Okay. Hello, Yogi in Long Beach. You're on with Rich. We're not on air, but we're on the we're not on the radio. But I just wanted to get to your question because I know you've been on hold for a while. What's going on?
Hi, Rich.
Hey.
I'll be as quick as I can. What's going on is I work. I'm a tech guy.
Oh, okay. And you're asking me? Oh gosh, this got to be a
no. I work in the chip industry, but
okay.
So I have a laptop that's tied to a couple of screens. So I have, a lot of viewing area, and I'm using a lot of tools, but one of the ones I've been using a lot recently is just Office 365, Word, Excel, and so on and so on. And here, the problem is, I can't find the cursor, and I've used, control panel, mouse, pointers, and they have system, large, extra large, inverted, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of those, they're just not that big. And if you go to Office 365, Word, or whatever, Word is a very bad citizen in terms of the pointer, just white. You get white on white because even if you have an inverted pointer or a black pointer, it goes white. So it doesn't manage the cursor at all. And then when you type, you get the anvil. And the new screens are very, very skimpy in terms of showing you the text pointer,
Right.
Okay, so bottom line is I either need a third-party pointer, and I don't like cars or turtles or beeping junk like that, animated stuff. I just want an arrow, okay,
Right.
an inverted arrow or an arrow that works. Or I'm envisioning I hit a keystroke and it centers the cursor in front of me. So I can not to look all over the place or slide all the way to the left upper corner to find it,
There's a cool feature on the Mac that I use that you kind of shake the mouse a little bit and it'll show you the mouse where it is in a big format. I think your best bet is going to be an app. I just looked it up called Cursor FX. Have you heard of that one?
No, I have not. I've looked everywhere, too. I'm good at, you were talking about earlier about knowing stuff versus solving problems. I solve problems all the time, All
right, listen, I gotta go back on the radio, but check out that. I just wanted to let you know, check out that program, Cursor FX. I think that's going to work for you, okay?
Is it just FX, cursor?
Yes.
F and X or what? Or FX?
Cursor FX.
Okay, .com or what?
No, just search that one. Search that one. Rich DeMuro in today for Leo Laporte. Taking your calls at 8888 Ask Leo, 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go to the phone lines. We have, let's see here, Aaron in Santa Clarita. Aaron, you're on with Rich.
Hi, Rich.
How's it going?
Good. I'm having a problem with my Surface Pro. I made a big leap last year and got rid of my desktop and got a Surface Pro instead, and I've been very happy, except for the fact that my year anniversary of buying it is coming up, and I'm actually on my 4th device.
Ooh.
When I purchased it at Best Buy, I was going to take it on vacation, and 3 days after I purchased it, it just quit powering up.
Ooh.
So I took it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it back. They gave me a new one, and since then, that's happened 2 additional times where it just quits powering up. I send it back. They send me a new one. So I'm on my 4th device now, and the last time I was very concerned because I'm coming up on my warranty period being over. So they extended my warranty for 3 months, but now this new one that I have, the screen is starting to flicker again. It's starting to get a little glitchy. So I'm really concerned. Is this a constant problem with this particular product? And do I have any recourse with Microsoft?
It's an interesting question, and It's interesting because I have had the Surface in the past with review devices, and one of my problems was that exactly what you just said. It didn't come to life after it went off. And I thought it was an isolated experience, but now that I'm hearing from you and I kind of searched online, when I had this happen, it seems like this is happening to a lot of people. And so this is interesting. I would say that it's tough because you want to keep this thing. Now you're going for your year. So, I mean, what's the deal with the year?
And I love it, and I bought a case to travel with. I bought a dock.
Well, what's going on with your current one right now?
Well, it's just the screen is starting to flicker. It will power up. It seems to be working fine, but each time the device has gone down, there's been some weird little glitchy thing that's happened at the beginning that at first I thought, user error. I guess I didn't push the button correctly, or maybe it's not charged. And so now I'm a little freaked out because I going to have 3 months left on my warranty. I've invested. I have a dock. I have a couple of different cases. I love the device when it works. I really love it.
Well, so is this current one, so your current one is flickering?
Yes. So I'm worried that, it's going to go out again. And the other thing, too, is if this one doesn't go and I reach the end of what is going to be now my 15-month warranty period, do I have any, can I say anything? I don't want to just have this go out after the 15-month warranty period and then okay, so now it's a doorstop.
Right. Well, there's a couple things you can do. I mean, so what about the idea of buying an extended warranty for this thing? Is that passed?
I think you can only do that when you purchase it. I haven't asked, but I think that's only when you purchase it.
Yeah, there might be. I mean, you can look into some companies like Square Trade. They may do it later on, but a lot of times you have to get it within a certain time period of your device, which makes sense. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I want to say that this is a isolated experience, but you seem to have a lot of problems with these things, and I will say that I had the same problem. Now, I had the same problem with a Dell laptop as well, where it didn't come to life. So I think it has to do with some sort of combination of the firmware on these devices and also the Microsoft software that they're pushing to it. Because I don't know if you've noticed with the Windows updates on these Surface Pros, they are all the time. I mean, you're always getting updates on these things, right? And they're huge. Yeah. They're like big updates. So did you buy this on any kind of credit card?
I bought it from Best Buy on my Best Buy card, but I've paid it off.
Okay.
I paid it off immediately.
Yeah, because some of the credit cards, too, will have like an extended warranty. Now, with my computer, I bought mine on a credit card that had the extended warranty. My kid threw a toy at the screen and totally messed it up, and I was going to use the purchase protection, but it was like 120 days, and I think I was in like 125 days or something ridiculous, So that could be another way of doing it. But to me, okay, so you've got the laptop. It's been a year since you've had this thing. Your warranty is almost up after 15 months, right?
Well, it's supposed to be up after a year, but the last time this happened, when I was on the phone with them, I was, really upset. And they offered to extend the warranty for 3 months. So
and who offered to do that? Best Buy?
No. This because Best Buy doesn't want to get near it now.
Okay.
This is through Microsoft through their 800 helpline.
Do you have a Microsoft store near you?
I don't. But I can certainly go to one.
I think that's going to be your best bet right now. I think you need to, before this thing gets out of warranty, I think you need to take it to the Microsoft store. And they're very friendly there. It's kind of like an Apple store, except it's Microsoft brand. And you have to find a real Microsoft store. So don't not an authorized reseller, not you go to the Microsoft store website and find a location. Setting up an appointment, bring it to them, tell them what's going on, and just explain to them your concerns with this device. Explain how many you've had, explain how many times you've had this thing in for service and how many different ones you've gotten, and just say, look, I want you to do an assessment on this thing. Tell me why my screen is flickering. Give me a good reason for it, and let me know, because my warranty's almost up. Either you're going to extend my warranty for 6 more months, or you're going to, give me a new one of these things, and I'll figure it out that way. That's what I would do. And feel free to email me. You can go to my website, richontech.tv, if you want. I know some people at Microsoft, after you go into the store, and I can see if I can kind of help you through with that, because I don't want to see you spend so much money on a device that's not working. And I will tell you, I've had my MacBooks for 4 years at a clip, and I'm talking 0 problems. And I just would not accept to have so many problems from the start with a device that you're spending so much money on. And the fact that you love your Surface Pro is even better. It's not like you don't like this device. You don't want to switch to a different device. You want to keep this device. And so I think when you go into the Microsoft store, you tell them all these things. Microsoft's a big company. They've got a lot of money. They want to have happy customers. You're an early adopter of this Surface, and you're liking it. So they want to keep you. And I think they're going to try to make you happy in what they do, because I know the people there, and they really do care about the experience on their devices. They care about the experience on all their devices, but the ones that they make in particular, I think, are of the utmost importance. And I will say that I think the Surface has had some issues and kind of a rocky start with some of the software and things that happen with it. But at this point, that should be a non-starter with your device, because you've had it now. You've had way too many problems, and I really don't want you to have that. More of your calls at 1-888-ASK-LEO, 8888-ASK-LEO, or 888-827-5536. TechGuyLabs.com is the website to go to if you want more information. You're listening to The Tech Guy with Leo Laporte, Rich DeMuro, in for Leo today. Taking your calls this hour at 1-888-827-5536, 8888-ASK-LEO. Hop on. Phone lines are open, so give me a call. Now, right now during the show, normally you'd hear Chris Marquardt, but he is on vacation. But he left an assignment for you, a photo assignment. So this week's assignment is, drumroll please, foot. Take a photo of, about, or otherwise concerning the concept of foot, and then post it to the Tech Guy group on Flickr. Now make sure you tag it with the word foot. Okay? You can interpret that however you want. Foot. And if Chris likes it, it could end up on next month's photo contest review segment. So again, foot is what we're talking about for the photo assignment this week. All right, let's go to the calls. Ellen in Orange County, this is a fascinating topic that you want to talk about. What do you want to know about?
I heard a promo on a major newscast recently saying, is your smartphone spying on you? And it particularly referenced Chinese smartphones, and I have a ZTE.
Good question.
Like your opinion.
Okay, so yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this. So there's different ways that your smartphone could spy on you. And you have a ZTE, which is a company that, by the way, is no longer allowed to do business in the U.S. So they basically had some sanctions. So they were selling stuff that they shouldn't have, right, to a different country, Iran, I believe. And the U.S. has now cut off ZTE imports in the U.S. So they're not allowed to sell ZTE phones here in the U.S. anymore, which is pretty bad for the company. It's a ban. And that's not good for ZTE. So if you have one of these phones, if you're familiar with it, ZTE is kind of a low to mid-range device maker out of China. And you can find, they had a flagship phone that was kind of $200, but it was really a nice big screen, had a lot of stuff going for it, I should say. And a lot of times you find them at retailers like a Metro PCS or a Cricket. They'll sell these devices because they're pretty cheap and people there are buying them outright. So the ban is on ZTE imports into the U.S. and this kind of crippled the company because the U.S. clearly is a big market. I mean, China is a big market for them, but they need the U.S. So is it spying on you? There was nothing that said these phones were spying on you per se, but the concern with some of the Chinese devices is that China does not play by the same rules as the U.S., and the concern could be that there might be some backdoor software on these devices. I don't think that's the case. They did find some of that happening on a different manufacturer of these phones, but I don't think in a big way we've seen where a third-party manufacturer is spying on the U.S. through their phones. So I don't think your phone is spying on you that way. But there are many other ways your phone can spy on you. A lot of people think that Facebook is listening through their microphone. That is not happening. But Facebook has gotten so good at targeting ads at us that it seems like that's happening. And I get emails all the time. Hey, Rich, I never even looked up this term. I was thinking about going on vacation to Greece. Next thing you know, in my newsfeed on Facebook, I see an ad for Greece. Is my phone listening to me? No. But you might have done something that indicated to Facebook that you were interested in that country. And that could be anything. You could go to a website that's not even through Facebook. You can just be searching and clicking on an article about Greece. I was doing some research on Cancun, Mexico, to think about that as a destination. And next thing you know, my Google feed surfaced an article about Cancun and the recent violence there. And I said, well, that's not very good. I don't want to go there anymore. But again, it was not, there are signals when you search now, and all these companies are sort of intertwined. If you go to any major website, they probably have something called a Facebook Pixel installed on their website. And that allows Facebook to track what you're doing on that third-party website. And this is kind of what they came under fire for with the U.S. and, the testimony by Mark Zuckerberg in Congress. But the reality is this is what all the companies are doing. This is what Facebook is doing. This is what Twitter's doing. Why do you think Facebook and Twitter want all those little like and follow buttons on all the websites out there? Yeah, sure, they want you to help, like and follow those pages. But realistically, there's JavaScript, there's code behind those pages that help track you and what you're doing online. That's also how an ad can follow you around. So when you search on, let's say, a furniture website for a new dresser, next thing you know, when you go to another website, you see an ad for that dresser. Hey, do you want to buy this dresser that you just looked up? Wait, what? How does that happen? It's all through these tracking pixels. They're just tiny pieces of code that are on websites. Another way that your phone could be spying on you is through the apps themselves. And I've talked about this. You got to go in and you have to regulate your apps. On the iPhone, it's pretty simple. You go into your settings and you go into privacy, right? And under there, you're going to see all the sensors for your phone. You're going to see things like microphone. You're going to see things like calendars, contacts, photos, camera. And you want to go in there and location. And you want to say, you're going to get a list of all the apps that have access to your location. And you want to go in there and decide, do I want this app to always have access to my location? Do I want it to just have access when I'm using it? Or do I want it to never have access to my location? Go through and you'll be surprised sometimes that some of these apps that you download, you go through those little settings that, when you first open up an app, it says, can we have access to this? And you say, sure. And 6 months later, you realize, wait, why does that app need access to everything I'm doing? So you have to keep this in mind. On Android, you can do the same thing. You have to go into your settings, and it's a little different depending on the version of Android you have, but you can see the list of apps that you have and the permissions that they have. They call them permissions on there. And so you can go through every app that you have, and let's say you have Facebook Messenger on there. Well, you can go through and look at the permissions and turn off the microphone, because why does Facebook Messenger need access to your microphone? Now, if you're recording a video, you'll notice it's not going to have any sound. So you'll lose that functionality. But you can't mess these things up. Even if you turn off access to this stuff, it'll just ask you the next time if you want to reenact that access. So let's say you turn off GPS for Google Maps. Well, you're not going to get very good directions if you do that, but you can always turn it back on. So the next time that you open Google Maps, it's going to say, hey, we're going to try to do our best, but we can't really give you very good directions without allowing us access to your GPS location. Can you please let us have that? And I think that's a pretty reasonable one. But again, they're going to use that information for other stuff to figure out where you go, what you do, the restaurants that are popular in town, because they can see how many people go into them, because Google Maps is looking at where you're going because you've given it access to your location. You see how this all comes together? Google loves when people have their phones because they're collecting more data about you than any other company out there when you're holding their phone. You're telling them where you go. You're showing them everything. You're showing them your searches and the restaurants you go to and the places you frequent. It's all together. So, Ellen, do I think your phone is spying on you? Not in the way you might have thought it is, but it definitely is in other ways. Rich DeMuro here, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls after this at 8888 Ask Leo. Welcome back to the Tech Guy with Leo Laporte. Rich DeMuro sitting with you here in for Leo, who's on vacation. Thanks so much for joining me, talking about technology, your gadgets, conspiracy theories when it comes to your phone spying on you. Whatever you want, we're talking about it here on the show. The phone number, 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. Let's go to the lines now, and Jerry is in Hatfield, Pennsylvania. Jerry, you're on with Rich.
I think you can identify with this. You're watching TV, and you'll see they're forecasting rain, and there's a weather reporter out in a boat in water, and behind them somebody's walking in ankle-deep water. So what they're doing, they're blowing the weather up to make news out of it. And around here, if it's going to snow, all three networks, local channels are out there reporting on snowflakes, and it's ruining the programming. My question to you, is there any way I can get network programming without going through my local station? Now, I have Dish Network, and I'm locked into my area. I cannot get local programming from anybody, other areas. I would like to watch my favorite programs, Let's Make a Deal and Price is Right, without interruptions.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, it depends. So you want to watch your programs without your local news kind of breaking in and telling you the world is ending? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I mean, if the weather was really bad, it'd be one thing, but they're blowing the weather report to make news out of it.
Right. Well, I've been that reporter, by the way, in the hurricanes. When I worked for the station one time, I covered hurricanes a lot, and I remember them saying, "Okay, now wade into the water." And I'm like, "Wait, what? Who would wade into the water?" Well, we got to show how high it is, but nobody actually does that, except the reporters that are out there on the scene. Nobody's wading into the water that filled up the creek or whatever. But so I understand where you're coming from. I'm not. So you want to get certain programs? What programs you want? You said Let's Make a Deal?
Yeah, and Let's Make a Deal and Price is Right. I like to watch those. And when the weather's bad, they break in and they blanket it. And also, if you have in Florida, when the bridge went down in Florida.
Right, and they kind of break through the programming to show you live coverage of that. Well, here's the thing. I mean, the problem is the way that networks are set up today is they all go through a local station. So CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, they don't have a network stream that is sort of naked, where you can watch it without the local station taking over. That's just not the way the business is set up. So there are ways to watch certain shows on the network, but when you talk about a show like Let's Make a Deal or Price is Right, those are both sort of network syndicated shows. And the way that those shows are delivered are through a local channel. And having, I'm a reporter, having worked in local TV now for nearly 20 years, it's the local station that distributes those shows. So Price is Right, as far as I know, you'll be able to find clips of that online, but you may not be able to find the entire show streaming online. Same thing with Let's Make a Deal, because these are shows that are pushed out to local stations. And the reason you like these shows, that's working. They put these shows on the local stations so that people tune in for them. In between those shows, that's when the local news gets to say, hey, we have what's going on in your area. So tune in for us after you tune into this. So that's what's going on with that relationship between those two things. With the streaming services, there's a lot of ways to get more content. But still, when it comes to certain shows, like you're talking about specifically, those are delivered over local feeds. So the best I can say is if you're going to say I want more national news, there are services like Cheddar and these other streaming 24/7 news sites that are delivered now over the top through an Apple TV or Chromecast or Roku that you can use. If you want variations on your local news, if maybe you get sick of your local area, you want to watch something else, there's an app called NewsOn, NEWSON.US, and you can use that to sort of stream a different channel. So the website is watchnewson.com if you want to get some of the other streaming broadcasts. They have live local broadcasts from over 175 TV stations in 114 markets. And so you're in Hatfield, Pennsylvania. Some of your stations are on there, but you can also get a whole bunch of other stations. So you can watch the news from San Francisco, Sacramento, Monterey, Fresno, Reno, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. But the programming that you're talking about, The Price is Right, you're really not going to find that anywhere else except maybe on your local channel. And when you look at some of the other things that they have, the videos that they're going to offer are not going to be the full show. Now, you may be able to go to the CBS.com app, and they might have some episodes on there. That's one way you can do it. They've got, let's see, you can watch 5 free episodes of The Price is Right on there. But again, you're going to have to pay for that. That's the CBS All Access, and that's not free. But that's one way of doing it. And it actually surprises me right now that they have all these on there. So you can get the episodes that aired locally I'm guessing without commercials maybe. I don't know. But CBS All Access is not free. And I don't know. Maybe you're willing to pay for these shows, but you have to pay for them if you want to do that. You can try it for free. So I'd go with that. All right, good question. That's a tough one because that's the way that we're in this in-between stage right now where we have these streaming services, but we have these networks that want to keep their old business models in place, and it's tough. They don't want to just hand over everything right away because that would not be very good. Let's go to Bellflower, and we've got Chester.
Hello?
Chester, what's going on? You're on with Rich DeMuro.
Good afternoon, Rich. Yeah, I was calling you. First of all, I appreciate your show, and thank you for all the information. Yeah, I have 2 Droid phones, and one of them, I returned it to the provider, and I was trying to get some pictures out of it because the phone was pretty old. It just wasn't working, and it stopped working, and they told me they couldn't get them because something burnt out the ROMs or whatever, so they was trying to go in the cloud and recover them, and they couldn't get them from their cloud. And that same situation happened on my phone, both Samsung phones, where I was looking at it, and I don't know if I hit delete on a file, but they told me if I didn't back them up, then they were gone. I could never get them. So I do have an old phone from Sprint that I was going to see if I can get the chip out and get some of those pictures back.
Okay, so you had an SD card on these 2 phones?
Well, I'm not sure. I think I did. One of them, I have a Samsung. The other one was a Razr. It was an old Samsung phone that I think it does have a card. But the 2 that I had for the current provider, they were just supposed to be backed up in the cloud. I'm not sure if it's a card on here or not because I'm not really that familiar with phones and stuff. So I was just wondering, is there any way I could recover those pictures? Because I lost a lot of pictures.
Oh, man. So do you have the phones in your possession?
Well, one of them I had to send back because they sent me another phone,
Oh, right. And so you didn't take a card out of that one before you got rid of it?
I don't think it had a card in it. I don't know if it did. That's what I was asking you. And I still have mine, but I had to return my wife's phone back because, otherwise they was going to charge me for it. And I kept going up to the provider, and they was like, nothing we could do. We tried to get, and I was like, man, this is like, in this day and age, you mean to tell me there's no way?
Yeah.
Well, we provided you, we sent a text message letting you know that we was changing over.
All right. Chester, this is a very important topic, and I think that, this is something that happens all the time. And no matter if you have an iPhone, a Samsung, or any other Android device, this is the importance of backing up. And I know I don't know if you're going to be able to get your stuff back. I think that you need to, number one, you said these were Samsung. Samsung has a service called Samsung Cloud. So I think you need to log in to the Samsung website, use your Samsung password, and see if that saved some of your pictures. Number 2, for anyone that has a Samsung device, turn on the Samsung Cloud on your device. You have to turn it on. That means signing up for it and turning it on. Download Google Photos, put that on your device. Let that back up your pictures. If you're on an iPhone, let iCloud handle your backups. Make sure you have things turned on for iCloud. I know it might cost you an extra $1 a month, but you got to do it because you don't want to be in this position that Chester's in, that you had all these pictures and you're just sitting there thinking, why don't I have these things on? Verizon has a cloud service. AT&T has a cloud locker. Whatever you use, turn it on and keep that password because you do not want to lose your pictures. That's going to do it for hour number 2 of The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro sitting in for Leo Laporte. More of your questions at 8888 Ask Leo, plus iOS versus Android. I'll talk about that coming up. Thanks so much for listening to The Tech Guy. Rich DeMuro sitting in for Leo Laporte today. Thanks for letting me do this, Leo. Now a word from the man himself.
Thank you, Rich, for filling in for me, by the way. Appreciate it. The Tech Guy podcast brought to you by Wink. Oh, I have to say, Wink was quite a discovery for me. Lisa had been subscribing for some time. Wink is a wine, well, I guess it stands for Wine Club, WINC, sort of. They're actually a wine maker that helps you discover the most amazing new wines, 4 bottles every month. I love it. Now, I think if you like wine, and I do like wine, but you tend to get in a rut. You get the same wines because you know, I know this is going to be good. You don't really want to branch out. It's a little risky. Wink makes it easy to discover new wine. You start with the Wink Palate Profile Quiz right on the front page there, trywinc.com/techguy. You can go there, you can follow along with me, trywinc.com/techguy. They ask you about your taste, whether you like coffee or not, whether you like it black or with cream, whether you like, all sorts of different flavors, salty, peppers, mushrooms. They're gauging your interest, what do you like berry flavors? Then, based on your palate profile, they're going to suggest wines that you will probably like, curated to your taste. You can choose 4 reds, 4 whites, or anything in between, half and half if you want. It's not just a wine club, it's a wine company. They work directly with top winemakers and growers from around the world, and they make all their own wine. So the quality is very high. They do really interesting wines, too. I've mentioned before the Field Theory, their Field Theory, their Albarino, is fantastic. They have a Pinot-like wine that's actually a German varietal that's really good. They make it themselves. And once you taste it, you'll know why I'm such a Wink fan. 4 bottles is perfect, too. Dinner a couple of times a month. Maybe bring a bottle to a friend's for a party or a dinner party. Maybe save a bottle in your cellar for later. Shipping's covered. If you don't like a bottle, don't worry. You don't have to send it back. They just send you another one. No questions asked. Sit back, relax, or maybe celebrate a little with Wink. It is the perfect wine club. No membership fees. Skip any month, cancel any time. So you're never under any obligation. But I promise you, you will thank me. You'll say, oh, wow, this is really good. I haven't had a bad wine yet. Seriously, they're really good. Why settle for the same bottle of wine? Get out of that wine rut. Discover some great wine today from winemakers who really know what they're talking about. Go to trywinc.com/techguy and you'll get $20 off your first shipment. Wow, that's nice. trywinc.com/techguy for $20 off. Trywinc.com/techguy. Give them a try today. I think you'll really, really like it. And now, my friends, back to Rich DeMuro and the Tech Guy Show.
Thank you, Leo. All right, moving right along with the show here.
At 6 minutes past the hour.
So,
from Premier Networks.
Yes. Okay. Good. There. All right. Wow. Isn't it amazing how Leo is right here and now I'm here again? So we just kind of did a quick switch. All right, cool. Thanks for all the kind words, by the way, on the chat. I like that.
You're tuned to Premier
Thank
Channel
you.
7.
So I've got 2 minutes. I've got a big segment coming up. I'm going to talk about iOS versus Android. I'm going to make a lot of you mad or happy or in the middle. I don't know. So we'll see.
You're live.
Welcome back to Hour 3 of The Tech Guy with Leo Laporte. My name is Rich DeMuro, sitting in for Leo today. Leo's on vacation, but we're holding up the fort, answering your questions, taking your calls, talking about all the great stuff that happened in technology this week. And if you're wondering who I am, well, I'm the tech reporter for a TV station in Los Angeles called KTLA 5. So I cover this stuff for a living, review products, websites, apps. I've got a podcast. I have my website, richontech.tv. I'm on Instagram a lot. So, all the normal places where the folks hang out online today on social media. So you can find me there. But enough about me. Let's talk about you and your phone. Do you have an iPhone? Do you have an Android? Sometimes it's tough to choose. And it's interesting because I used to get a lot of emails about this. People wanting to switch from one to the other. I feel like a lot of people have decided at this point. But it's fascinating because sometimes when you're in one of these ecosystems for so long, you kind of forget what the difference is between the two. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, I was flying up here. I got a text from a friend. And he said, I noticed you're using iMessage again. Did you switch to your iPhone again? And it's funny that someone would notice that, first off, in this day and age. But he noticed my message was blue to him. And he said, that's funny because I was thinking of taking my SIM out of my iPhone and putting it in a Pixel 2. So what's the deal, Rich? Why'd you switch? And it really made me think about the difference between these two devices because I often go back and forth. I'm always testing devices. So I want to be versed in both iOS and, of course, Android. And I'm not going to tell you what I prefer, but I'll tell you what I notice when I'm using these different devices. But the iPhone, let's start with that. The size of the device, perfect. Every year that iPhone has come out with a device, I thought that the iPhone Plus was a little large, but when you think about the average iPhone, it's the perfect size. Even when you put a case on it, it's still the perfect size. And when it comes to cases, there's millions of them, even accessories in general. There's just so many accessories for the iPhone that extends the life of this device. You get into an Uber, there's a charging cable for the iPhone, a lightning cable. You need a quick charge. Any friend you ask or someone around the office is going to have a lightning cable. The thing never needs to be reset, never has any issues, hardly. For the average person, there's little bugs here and there, yes. Software updates come along and changes something. But the reality is, it just works. It's a workhorse. It works all the time. My Android phone, well, I'll get into that in a moment, but I'm always restarting the thing because I want it to work better. iPhone, you don't need to restart it. They don't even have a way to turn it off practically anymore. iMessage and FaceTime, these are two of the biggest features people love on the iPhone. Now, I'm not gonna argue. I don't like the fact that Apple sort of hijacks your number to make these features possible. But for the 99.9% of people who don't care about that, they love it because you text someone and it works. The number shows up. It shows up in blue, which verifies that that's actually their phone number. Sometimes, in your contacts, you got a bunch of numbers listed for someone. You see the one in blue, you go, oh, okay, they're on iMessage. I know I can send them to that. You can send big photos and videos all through iMessage. That just works. AirDrop. Have you ever tried AirDrop? It's like one of the most fascinating, simple things you can do to share stuff with people, or your computer, or your iPad, or your iPhone. People will just come up to me. Hey, let me AirDrop you something. Here, turn on your AirDrop. Okay. It's almost assumed that you have AirDrop now. And it's so easy. Again, the accessories. If you're talking about being creative with your iPhone, mics, stands, stabilizers, all kinds of stuff that you can add to make this device a creator's device. The apps that you get, best in class. All the features come to iPhone first on all these major apps. You never hear Android first. No, it's iPhone. Oh, new Instagram feature came to the iPhone first. Now that's changing a little bit, but most of the apps that developers are making a lot of times come to iPhone first, Android second. Simplicity. Everything you need is built into the phone. I'm writing a book right now about the iPhone, and every app is in there. You almost don't need to download anything extra except for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Other than that, everything's covered. You've got the Apple stores for help and repair. And if you need help with it, just ask a friend. They know how to do it because the friend is there and they've used it. Oh, one thing that I really like too, the side button to silence the notifications. The only Android I've seen with that is the OnePlus. Why haven't Android phones taken that up? All right, the not so good things about iPhone. Oh, you are locked into Apple's world. Oh, they love you. You buy an iPhone and Apple loves you forever because you are now in their world. prepare to enter the Apple ecosystem. And the longer you have it, the more you're in this ecosystem. Next thing you know, you love your iPhone so much, you buy a MacBook. Then you buy an Apple TV. Then you buy AirPods. Then you buy a wireless router. Just kidding. They discontinued that. But everything's proprietary in Apple's world. In fact, when you meet with Apple, you'd imagine that nothing else exists in Apple's world. They want you to live in a world that is Apple and only Apple. Apple Music. Be a subscriber. It works best. It only works with Siri. The keyboard. You ever try to use a secondary keyboard on your iPhone? 9 times out of 10, when you activate that keyboard, it switches back to the Apple keyboard. I don't know why. It just does. Siri. Siri will get you a bunch of answers, but it works with Apple stuff best and Apple apps. Third-party integration, just not there. In fact, they've built ways for app developers to integrate with Siri, and hardly anyone does it. The camera, it's great, but in a lot of circumstances these days, it doesn't hold up to the Samsungs of the world or the Pixels of the world. Sometimes when I'm using my iPhone, I feel like I'm using a device that's not even mine because it's Apple's way or the highway. You ever try to set a default app to open something on an iPhone? No, it doesn't work. You can't do it. Everything's sandboxed, which is good, but it's also bad. Apps can interact with each other, but only in certain ways. All right, so now I've talked about the pros and cons of iOS and Apple and iPhone. Let me talk about Android. So this appeals to the nerd in me. I just love the way Android works because everything is customizable. Everything. Down to the font, down to the screen, down to the icons. You could customize everything. You could spend days customizing your Android phone. Don't get me started on the cameras. The camera on the Pixel is the most amazing camera I've ever experienced on a smartphone. And anyone can challenge that. But it's true. Samsung, they have a device with every feature you could ever imagine. Water resistance, headphone jack, wireless charging, memory card. What more do you want? Your phone, when you have an Android, becomes you. You can swap out almost anything. The lock screen, the keyboard, the music player. You can set defaults. If I like Pandora to be my default music app, I can set that. If I want a file to open in a certain file app, I can open that. If I want my PDFs to open in Dropbox, I can set that. That's amazing. The system is cohesive. Everything is built in. And Amazon Assistant or Google Assistant is just amazing. Talk about answers. You will always get the right answer from the Google Assistant. Well, most of the time. And talk about controlling apps. Whereas Siri hardly works with anything, Google Assistant works with everything. You want Spotify, Pandora, YouTube Music? Go ahead. Just tell it to set your default. And Google, yes, they favor their own products, but you're always free to choose. Now, the problems with Android? Terrible form factor. The Pixel, too big or too small. Software updates, inconsistent, especially when it comes to Samsung and all these other phones. Restarts, memory issues, laggy phones. No easy way to transfer files between your computer or between phones. And yes, Files Go helps, but it's not great. The messaging is terrible. There's no AirDrop, there's no messaging, there's no iMessage. You've got malware. Anyway, that's my little rant on iOS versus Android. And I'll tell you, I haven't decided because they're both great in different ways. And I think the vast majority of people live in their own little world, but when you're testing them like me, you see all these pros and cons. All right, if you want to ask me a question about either one or anything, go ahead. 888-827-5536. More of The Tech Guy after this. Welcome back to The Tech Guy with Leo Laporte. Rich DeMuro sitting in for Leo today. Welcome back to the show where we talk about technology, talk about your gadgets, what's going on with your computer, your mouse. Does anyone use a mouse anymore? I don't know. I've switched to trackpad. But, whatever you got, your home theater setup, your TV, you got a question, give me a call. 8888-ASK-LEO, 888-827-5536. Free call from anywhere in the U.S. Rich DeMuro in for Leo today. So different voice, different knowledge, but you know what? We'll try to set you up. Let's go to Maurice in Florida. Maurice, you're on with Rich.
Hey, Rich. Nice to talk to you. Let me just turn down the other radio.
All right.
Switch to trackpad.
Wow,
I have
you got radio on in the background.
Well, it's our friend, the A-girl. So two things. One, as a follow-up to the guy with the Chrome and the hijacks, And then secondly, I do tech support for about 150 senior citizens that are between 75 and 100.
God bless you.
And just want to make a comment where the tech industry seems to have totally missed the boat on the Echo product and the ability that for seniors that they can call for emergency or dial 911 with the Connect product and the drop-in feature. If you broke a hip and you can't get up, so I don't know if you want to add to that, but my question has to do with this nightmare. I thought Edge specifically was...
Well, hold on. Let me address that with the 911 before you're saying that these things are missing an opportunity because they don't let you dial 911, right?
No. I'm saying the tech industry has been poo-pooing the show and the Echo product, and that instead, I think it's an amazing product because a person who's broken a hip and is bedridden can just say, Echo, call my son, or Echo, dial 911.
Right. Well, you can't dial 911. You can't do that.
No, you can. That's the point. They've got this $35 box called the Connect now, and it will dial 911.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, if you're... Yeah. I think that the problem with that is that, let's see, Unveiled, which allows you to use your home. Okay, so you can use, if you have the $35 Connect, right. But that means that you have to have a phone line as well, right?
Yeah, well, seniors still do. And my point is that, if mom or dad falls at 3 a.m. and can't get up, they could say, Echo, call my son or daughter. But now with that $35 box, and I don't want to promote Amazon, but I have to say that, it's a pretty good fallback because a lot of these people won't, hold on, Alexa, stop. A lot of these people won't wear those things around their neck,
right,
that they would
the life alert or whatever. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing, but I think that the problem with what you're saying, why the tech industry is missing it, I remember when I was doing the stories about how Google Home and Alexa can dial these numbers, they're very quick to say we can't handle 911 because not everyone has that Connect box, so they don't want to. It's very confusing. Like to have this, like even to me, like I'm sitting here reading this, it's like, okay, well, you have to have this box, you got to have a landline, so you have to have a lot of things in order. I think that's why they haven't gone broad with that messaging of, hey, use these things. But I agree. I think, number one, I think they should be able to dial 911 because it would be very helpful for all of these systems, whether it's Siri, I know Siri can help, but, all these smart speakers, that has to be a functionality because it just makes sense in an emergency. How frustrated would you be if you were calling for this thing to help, and yes, you can call a person, but you can't call emergency services. But I agree. I think that they need to fix that. And I know it has to do with the location services of the device because they need to know where to send the help. And if you can't say that and they can't figure it out, it's kind of like, why call? But, okay.
Right. And just second to that, I know everybody went nuts on the drop-in feature, but once again, if mom or dad can't get up from bed, the kid can be in California and mom can be in Florida and just, drop in on mom like an intercom and say, how are you? So, you can talk about that. But my real question is, Edge, I thought was supposed to be safer. And what's causing these hijacks that if you do a Google search by accident and you end up on, jetblue.cm, the machine starts talking to you. It freaks these people out. And there's no way to seem to clean the browser.
What I think is happening, and I see this happen on the iPhone as well, I think it's some sort of malware that's delivered through ads. And so when people are clicking links on their iPhone or on Facebook, it's redirecting you to a different website. And I see this happening all the time. And I do think it has to do with the ads that are being served. And here's the thing, with all these ad platforms like Google AdSense and whatever else is out there, a lot of it is self-service and sort of automated. And I think that these companies that serve up some of this bad stuff get their redirect links through for a certain period of time before the computers pick up on it. And I think that's what's happening because these browsers are getting better at figuring this stuff out. But you have to understand, they can't understand what's going on until it happens to several people. And then their little algorithms pick up on the fact that this is not the right website to send people to. But I see it on big websites. And I get these emails all the time. People send me screenshots of, when people click a link, they get redirected to some crazy site. And I think when it comes to, seniors, and if you're talking about perhaps typing in a website and getting a different thing than you expected, well, that's been going on since the history of the internet. Like people will buy these sites that sound similar to Google or whatever you might be going into. So, but I agree. I think the browser kind of hijack system or whatever's happening out there is a problem. And it's happening a lot through Facebook links, especially. And I see this happening like literally on my own phone. I'm like, now how did that happen? Because I know what I'm clicking and I know where I was going. And I'm getting this pop-up that says if I'm the 1,000th person that clicked this, I get an Amazon gift card. So not very good. And Maurice, I thank you for working with these seniors because everyone is looking forward to technology nowadays, including seniors. And we all have it. And I think that you're right. A lot of these new technologies that we have are good for everyone. And I know everyone gets scared about stuff like you said, like the Google Home or the Alexa in your house listening, but we shouldn't be scared because this is technology that is helping people and it is helping us in a good way. By the way, if you're thinking about all these emails, if you've seen all these emails you're getting, I just wanted to really quickly comment on them. I don't know if you've seen all those terms of service update emails. These are not a scam. These are emails that you're getting every day now. Whatever service you signed up with is now sending you a terms of service email saying, hey, here's our terms of service. Here's what you need to know. The reason why we're getting all these emails is because over in the EU, in Europe, they have this new privacy legislation happening, which is called GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. And what they're saying to companies, look, if you collect people's data, you better use it in a responsible way, or else we're going to fine you in a big way. And they have to tell you if there's a data breach. You also have a right to erasure, which means if you have all the data stored with Facebook or Google, you have to say, hey, erase that. And they will have to do that for you. Now, this doesn't apply in the U.S., but a lot of the companies, since they operate in the U.S. as well, are just changing their terms of service to help us out too. So that's why all those emails are arriving in your inbox. It's all because of the GDPR, and that goes into effect on May 25th. So expect to see many more of these emails from just about every service you've ever signed up for in your inbox. Rich DeMuro sitting with you here, in for Leo Laporte. More of The Tech Guy and your questions after this. Hour 3 of The Tech Guy happening right now. We're talking about technology, your gadgets, your computer, your phone, whatever you want. 8888 Ask Leo. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. It's a free call. Call in. Lines are open. Rich DeMuro sitting in today for Leo Laporte. You can learn more about me at richontech.tv. That's my website. Let's go to the phone lines now. We have David in Hollywood. David wants to know about a trial program. Hello, David. All right, while David's getting sorted out there, let's go to Gary in Irvine. Gary, what's going on?
Rich, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you. I need a new TV. I also want to cut the cord, and I need the local channels, and my internet comes through the cable, and I need to figure out how I can do all this. What would you suggest that I do about this?
Okay. Well, the first thing I suggest is a website called untangle.tv. Untangle.tv. And that website is a great little website that kind of leads you through the process of cutting the cord. So what it does is it asks you what channels are most important to you, what shows are most important to you, and kind of asks you, if you're tech savvy, like what level of frustration are you willing to deal with when it comes to setting all this stuff up. And once you pop in all this stuff, it will kind of tell you what services it recommends. So often that could be a combination of, your service like YouTube TV or an antenna or some Netflix. Like let's say you want to watch The Crown on Netflix. Clearly you have to have a Netflix subscription to do that. And by the way, it will add up everything at the end of your questionnaire. So it'll give you all your options too. And it'll tell you which device you should get to get all these things. Because a lot of times, not so much anymore, but sometimes certain devices offer certain things and others don't. Like if you want a YouTube app, you won't get that right now on the Fire TV. But you will get it on YouTube TV, or on an Apple TV, or on a Chromecast, you can get it. So it just depends, or on a Roku. So Untangle TV is the first place I'd recommend. The second thing is you kind of have to decide, Gary, what services you want, but also how you want them. So you can get your local channels through an over-the-air antenna, but is that going to integrate with your Fire TV or your Apple TV or your Roku? So then you need some other way to get those to interface if you don't want to be changing the inputs all the time. So those are kind of the things you have to think about. And I guess my question to you is, are you willing to subscribe to a service like YouTube TV?
I'm paying like an exorbitant amount of money for the cable and for the internet, and I need to get rid of that. And I can't put a dish on my roof because of the tiles.
Oh,
they won't allow you to screw in because I live in an apartment complex, and they won't allow you to mount a dish or whatever. So I'm going to need a smart TV to be able to do this. So that's what I was trying to figure out. Is there some way to do this through because the building is already wired with cable?
Do you have any boxes right now, like a Roku or a Fire TV or anything like that?
I do not have any boxes. Okay. I have an old TV that's from 2008, and I just have a regular Motorola box cable box in
right. Okay. So I think you're going to have to keep your internet service, of course, because if you want to get these streaming services. The problem is in Irvine, it really depends. You get most of the local channels. I know KTLA, which is the channel I'm on in Los Angeles. We're not on any of the streaming services right now. So if you want to get that channel, you will have to go the antenna route. Otherwise, the local channels are available through YouTube TV, which you can get. And really what it comes down to, no matter where you live, is you have to figure out what channels do you want and how much are you willing to pay to get those things. And nowadays, when we think about channels, it's not just the locals. The locals are kind of complicated because they're not available everywhere. But you also have to think about the Netflix of the world and the HBOs of the world or the Showtimes or whatever you want. And that's why I like this website, untangle.tv, because you can pop all that in and it'll kind of tell you. But the indoor antenna situation where you are could be a little rough. I mean, you're out in Irvine. I don't know how good the reception is out there. And that's kind of a hit or miss thing. And if you don't have any good signal, you're going to be frustrated. And I could recommend some of the antennas I like. I mean, in Mohu, I like their leaf antenna or their glide antenna is really nice. Those are the antennas that I like there. To get one on your roof, which you said you couldn't, that's what I have. That's going to really improve things, especially when it comes to reception. But this is tough. You're in a place where a lot of people are. And then if you want DVR service, you got to think about that as well. And DVR with your local channels is another complicated thing. I recommend something called Tableau. You know, some people in the chat room are talking about TiVo. Yeah, that's still around. I used to love TiVo. I don't really recommend it as much anymore just because I don't think they've kind of kept up with some of the other boxes out there, but it's still around and you can still use that as an option and that might work. But it really depends what you want out of this. Again, you've got DirecTV Now, which doesn't have a DVR, but it usually has almost all the local channels. You've got YouTube TV, which has a lot of local channels in a lot of places, but it does have a DVR and it's really nice, but they don't have apps for everything. So right now there's no app for the Fire TV. Just for Roku and YouTube and Apple TV. You've got Sling TV, which gives you kind of the most options out of all of them for picking your programming, and they have apps everywhere, but you don't get your local channels on that one. So then you have Hulu, which has a lot of the local channels, and they have apps pretty much everywhere. But again, you have to kind of figure out, I don't like the interface on the Hulu TV service. So you'd have to kind of figure out if that works for you. Those are the four main ones. You've got PlayStation Vue as well, which may be good in your circumstance because they do have a lot of the locals in the LA area, and they also have a DVR functionality too. So again, it comes down to how much you want to pay, how many of these services you want, and what you're willing to do to get these services. So Gary from Irvine, thanks so much for calling. That's a great question. And I think we got David back here. David in Hollywood, you back on?
Hi. Yes, I am. Thank you, Rich, for having me. Mike, I have a quick question. I wanted to download a Spectral Layers Pro, which is advanced audio spectrum editor, and to repair audio. And I was, since I'm checking on this program, I wanted to try out the free trial. So I downloaded the program, and the next thing I know, my computer put out this device error. API was not initialized. And then I did my research, and I found out that I was not getting the right answers, how to get rid of it or how to initialize it. And I was just wondering if you have any ideas how to go about it.
So you uninstalled it, but you're still getting an error.
Exactly.
And what is this, a Mac or a PC?
It's a PC.
Okay. All right. So what's happening here, it sounds like this program left a little fragment behind somewhere in your operating system. And this happens a lot. Whenever you remove a program, it sometimes leaves little, inklings of itself because whoever coded the program, maybe they missed something or they were a little lazy, whatever it may be, there's something on your system that's still interfering with your system. So program I like, number one, if you didn't use if the program has an uninstaller, use that. If not, I like shouldIRemove.com for Windows and see if that finds it. Otherwise, on Mac, I really like Clean My Mac, and that will uninstall programs with all the stuff. So it kind of finds all little fragments of the program. So again, shouldIRemove.com. See if that picks it up. It may. And you got to do an uninstall with these programs that gets rid of everything so they're not still affecting your system. Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte on The Tech Guy. More of your calls after this. Welcome back to The Tech Guy with Leo Laporte. Rich DeMuro sitting in for Leo. Joyce is in Hollywood. Joyce, welcome to the show.
And probably a couple of years, but I actually got through. I can't believe it.
Well, today's your lucky day.
Lottery. I hit the lottery.
Well, it's not Leo, so I don't want to hurt your feelings here.
That's okay. That's okay. Rich, I don't have a television, but I am going to get one.
Oh, wow. Welcome to the welcome to 2018.
Yeah, well, it's just been kind of ridiculous because when the FCC did that big conversion and we went to digital, I went out, and at that time I did have a television. I bought the little converter box, got everything connected, no signal.
No signal.
I got a hold of the FCC, and they said, "What is your address again?" And they said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We're not broadcasting a signal in your area." I thought, well, that would have been nice if I'd known that ahead of time. I never would have gotten the stupid converter box. Okay, so here we are.
How did you call the FCC? Where'd you find the phone number for them?
I did. I did it through my phone and just digging and finally found them. Anyway, the biggest question I have at this point is I just looked this morning, at the FCC antenna map, and now it shows that I should get a moderate signal for ABC and for Channel 4, Channel 9, and Channel 11. I mean, that's great. Now, my plan is to get a smart TV because I now have access to the internet. I'm part of the AT&T Access program for people who live below the poverty level. And so now I get the internet for $10 a month, which is really great. So the question of the day, as I was sharing with Kim, who makes the best digital antenna that can boost the added signal so that even though my signal in this area is moderate, at least I'll be able to watch something without it pixelating constantly.
Oh, good question.
And again, because I've looked at so many, I bought a couple of them and just was so disappointed. And, of course, sent them back. I said, I get no signal. And, well, you have to have a signal in order to boost a signal.
Right, okay.
Like I said, according to the FCC map, I now am getting a moderate signal.
Well, and just to be clear, when you're looking at that FCC map or whatever antenna map, that's just giving an indication of the signals that might come to your house. That doesn't mean that you will 100% get a signal. So you may have tried these antennas that didn't get you a signal, and you're in the Hollywood area, which actually should have very good signal because all of the antennas are right on top of the mountain there that are broadcasting. So you should have a pretty good signal. I don't know, maybe you're in a kind of an interesting area with terrain, but I'll tell you this. I just attached several antennas to my TV at home, and I was testing them out to see which one I can recommend. And I've been recommending the Mohu Leaf forever. I mean, for a really long time. And this was this tiny little antenna. It was like $35. It's like a piece of paper almost, and you can put it in your house on the wall. And it had some pretty good reception. That's probably not going to work in your case. But Leaf does have this one that I tested out and I attached to my TV the other day, and I tried 3 different ones, and this one got the most channels, and it got all the channels actually. And it was amplified. It's called the Leaf Glide. Leaf Glide, and I believe they make a 65-mile range and also a different one. It's the Leaf Glide 65-mile range indoor amplified HD TV antenna, and it's $90, which is very expensive when you think about an antenna, because you can get some of these things for $20. So that is the one that I recommend for you. Joyce, I'm happy that you're coming into the world of television. You know, I've worked in TV for 18 years, so I do hope that you try to tune in KTLA Channel 5 because you are in Hollywood and we're right down the street. And now that you've talked to me, I expect a tweet or something to let me know that you can now watch us. But that's the one I like. I think you're going to be very happy with that one, but I can't guarantee that it's going to work, because even though you said you think you have a signal in your area, that doesn't guarantee just because it's on the map that you have a signal. Rich DeMuro here, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And as if you didn't have enough updates in your life, Windows coming out with a new update Monday. This is the Windows 10 April 2018 update. What a fancy name, huh? It's not the creators update, as they used to call it. But this has a couple new features that you're going to notice. The number one feature, and they're really trying to merge the idea of whatever product you're working on, whether it's a laptop or a mobile phone or a tablet, you're going to get a similar experience. And this is called Timeline. This is the major feature of Windows 10 with this new update. And you get a view of your activity from the last 30 days, no matter what you've been doing, whether you're doing something in Edge on Android or on Office 365 on another Windows machine. So ideally, if it works right, it's going to let you kind of jump back into a document you were working on in the office when you get to your laptop at home. Now, Windows has been working on this idea for a long time with Windows 10, where they wanted you, if you changed your desktop background on your laptop, it would reflect on your tablet or whatever. You know what I mean? They wanted to make this a seamless experience. So Timeline is part of that. I don't know if it's going to be perfect from day one, but I think it's a good feature they're adding. Because a lot of times you do want to swap between devices. You don't want to have to go through and open up all the tabs you had open and open up the document you had open. Focus Assist is one that I think is really cool. It mutes notifications for you. So often I'm typing on my MacBook. I mentioned I'm writing a book right now, and all of a sudden I'll get these notifications. I'm like, get away. And I can't really, it takes a while for me to figure out how to mute those. This is automatically muting stuff at specific times, or you can turn it on or off at will, kind of like that little button on your iPhone that you can turn on and off your notifications. So that's going to happen on your computer. You've got system-wide dictation, which is nice. Windows key plus H to start it. That's really cool because now you can dictate text in any field. And of course, there's going to be a new updated version of Edge, which is their browser. You've got full screen support for books, PDF, and reading views, and grammar tools. I need that so it can help me fix my grammar, because when I type, I'm just a mess. And I love this too. You can print clutter-free versions of articles you're reading on the web. So again, Windows 10 update, worldwide rollout on May 8th, okay? But tomorrow, Monday, April 30th, they're going to start letting you download this. So again, that's what's happening with Windows 10. So be on the lookout for another update with some new features. Wow, that's going to do it for today's show. Rich DeMuro in for Leo Laporte. Just want to say thanks to everyone that helps make this show possible. Michael Cozio, the board op, Kim Schaffer, call screener. Our in-studio guest today, Ozned, all the way from Australia, and Lindsay Parker, all the way from Australia as well, unrelated. But it's funny, my wife's name is Lindsay and my kid's name is Parker. What are the chances of having an in-studio guest with those two names? That's amazing. All the folks that help me out here behind the scenes. Leo Laporte for letting me do this. Rich DeMuro is my name. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to richontech.tv. I'd love it if you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those fun places on social media. And if you want to see anything that we mentioned here on the show, just go to techguylabs.com. So they have some great people here that write down all the questions that get asked and all the answers and put them in an easy to search format. I'm Rich DeMiro, signing off for Leo Laporte today. Thanks so much for listening to The Tech Guy.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.